All right. Would like to call to order the Board of Supervisors meeting for the town of Sevastopol on Monday, April 21st at 7 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. How about we establish that we have a quorum? Amy?
Supervisor Linda Wade.
Here.
Chairman Dan Wolfel.
Here.
Supervisor Mark Hayne.
Here.
Supervisor Jeannie Vogel.
Here.
Supervisor Trent Olson.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. We shall move ahead. First thing on our agenda would be the meet and greet. Understand who our guests are and speakers this evening. We'll start over with Travis.
Thank you. Travis Mason, I'm the administrator for the town of Gibraltar. I'm here for item 9 on your agenda.
Thank you.
So, Steve Solons, chairman of the town of Gibraltar, same thing.
Yes, Chairman. Oh, nice.
Matthew Segorek, here with town of Fish Creek for number 9, also for our new restaurant at 4135 Main Street in Fish Creek.
Okay.
I'm Hannah Marks from Sister Bay.
Behind, there you go.
Grant, this is here for number 9. Austin Stotts, number 9. Jasper Stotts, number 9.
I'm Whitney Fedor. I'm the assistant EMR crew chief for the Sevastopol EMRs, and I'm also here for number 9.
You don't have to stand up, by the way.
Steve, this is a good.
But it's a formal process. Feel free.
Sarah Solom's wife of Steve.
Keelan Montevideo representing Eastern Fire.
Aaron LeClaire, Door County Emergency Services.
All right. Listen.
Marty Gerber, I live on Rodney Lane, Rockridge Road. I did
I'm
live.
not sure where you live, that's okay.
Honest, that's where I live.
Marie Berberg, number 9. Denise Berberg, number 9.
Mike Parent, number 9, driveway application for a driveway on Rockridge Road.
Gwen Gray Boys. I'm not here for number 9.
John Adil, 4451 Whitefish Bay Road.
Mary Ellen Haynes, 4675 Matthew Road. Cheryl Burka, 4485 Rockridge Road.
Tom Burka, 4485 Rockridge Road.
Kent Ingram, 4559 Rock Ridge Road.
Chris Ingram, 4559 Rockridge Road.
Chief Leader, 4449 Tour Road. Mark Ozen here, 770 Ivy 57.
Are you the last gentleman, person, I think? All right. Well, thank you for introducing yourselves and welcome. The next item on our agenda is public participation. This is for non-agenda items. If there's someone in the public that wishes to speak, now would be the time. We'll give you a few minutes. If you do, just raise your hand. Yes?
Could you take the mic?
Grab the mic. Just
Come on,
pick it up
you've
and
been here
hold it.
before.
There you go.
Thanks.
Perfect.
Gwen Gray Boys, 5343 South Lake Road. I won't take more than 3 minutes, but I'm here for 2 things. One has to do with artificially enhanced wakeboarding ordinance on Clark Lake. I want to just clarify a point that I made or discussed at the annual meeting. We need a 2-pronged approach, Clark Lake Advancement Association does, in terms of securing this. One is to work for a local ordinance, and the second is to work at the state level to lobby for this. In case, we'd like to get the local ordinance first, in case the state ordinance fails to provide adequate protection from environmental upheaval on Clark Lake by the use of artificially enhanced wakeboarding. So just so people understand that this is not a one and done, but we need to work locally and at the state level. The second thing is a request. When I went to the Wisconsin Lakes and Rivers Convention, I had the opportunity to talk with Oriah Monday. It's a great name, you won't forget it. He is the chair of all the dam engineers, and this was just a casual discussion, and I got a lot of useful information about the dam, the watershed, water levels, and I wanted to know the appropriate place to share that. Should I take it to the next Park and Rec Committee, or would the board like to hear it at a different time? I know you have a huge agenda, not tonight. That's
I
it,
would
thanks.
suggest you probably start with the Park
Okay.
and Rec Committee. Okay? Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Last chance. All right, we'll move on. What's the agenda? Properly noticed. Let's start there.
The agenda was properly noticed.
All right, a motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion by Jeannie,
Second?
second by Trent. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carried. All right, approval of the minutes, Board of Supervisors meeting, March 17th, 2025.
I would move to approve the minutes of March 17th, 2025,
All right,
and
Second.
place on file.
motion by Linda, second by Jeannie, approve the minutes of the March meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. All right. So, moving on to new business. First item on our agenda is a request from the town of Gibraltar to transfer our reserve liquor license to them so that the gentleman with, it seems an unusual t-shirt, a wild tomato t-shirt, perhaps, could utilize our license in Fish Creek to open up a restaurant with a liquor license. I won't go into a lot of detail on this. Some of you may have recalled probably 5 years ago, we were approached in a similar situation by the owner of Glacier Ridge, which was near Woods Orchard. Not Woods,
Market.
sorry, thank you. And requested the same thing. We had a long, lengthy discussion. At that time, he chose not to exercise the option which we had given him to purchase the license. Internally, I have communicated to the board what our status is. We have extra licenses. You can only transfer a reserve license. The transfer of a reserve license is controlled by the state of Wisconsin in that it has to sell for a minimum of $10,000. It can't be sold for less. And under the most recent set of rules, the town, or any town for that matter, in Door County that had a reserve liquor license could transfer it to another town in the county. Prior to this recent change, the only way you could transfer a license was to an adjoining town. So in the case, you would be able to transfer to Egg Harbor or Jacksonport, but not beyond that. But with the change, we're left with more options to transfer that license if we so choose to do. So basically, the conversation tonight with the board is going to revolve around, are we interested in selling it? And then the second one is, if we are, what is the requested amount of money that we're going to ask or attempt to sell or transfer the license? The process, again, a little change from earlier, where the applicant approached us directly. Under the new process, we are approached by the town that wants the license. In this case, that's why the gentleman from the chairman and the administrator is here from Gibraltar. They become the official transfer party, and they, in turn, if we agree to transfer it to them, they in turn can transfer or sell it, however, license it to the applicant in their community. So, Steve, Travis, either one of you have anything you'd like to add to this particular component before we go to the next?
Sure.
Yes.
Just grab the mic,
Grab
pick it
the
up
mic.
by hand, and probably easiest to just talk. You can pull it right out of there if you like.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The town of Gibraltar 2 years ago had a reserve license, and when it was open to the public, we had 6 establishments that tried to obtain that license, and it was ultimately given to one establishment. So we have quite a few restaurants that have been trying to get a license. This is the first time that an establishment has actually approached the town and asked us to petition on their behalf, which it was voted unanimous at the town board to proceed with the procedure allowing the petition. So we're here to answer any questions in reference to that petition. Again, it was voted unanimous by the Gibraltar Town Board to petition Sevastopol for this license. It would, if it was granted, the town of Gibraltar by state law does not profit from this. The profit is sold through you. So if it does come to us, it just gets issued, and then we annually then can renew it. But we cannot add any additional funds to the cost of the license if it proceeds forward.
You physically escrow? Is that, I mean, if we agreed to transfer it for whatever, you then go to the licensee and then escrow the funds in that whole process? Is that basically
Correct.
right?
The petitioner had petitioned the board, and there was a hearing held at Gibraltar, and they voted in favor of petitioning the town of Sevastopol.
Okay.
And by state law, we cannot, because the license comes to the town, we cannot then profit off of it.
Right.
So it has to then just be given to the petitioner, and our only profit would be annual after that, the general license, and this would be a Class B.
Okay. Since you have the petitioner with you, would you like to give him a moment or two to just explain to the board what his plan is, and then we will discuss what we will do with it? So,
Fantastic. Everyone here okay?
yeah.
So, I'm Matthew Sigoric, Matt. I'm the owner of the two Wild Tomato restaurants, about 1 year and 4 months into that acquisition. I purchased those from the original owner, established in 2008, Britt Unkefer. Prior to that, I was a material handling and crane operational servicing entity in the Fox Valley area. I sold my businesses in September of 2021 and retired. My wife and I are full-time here with our children at Gibraltar, local to the community, 9-year-old and a 13-year-old at the school in Gibraltar. We searched a very long time for good businesses to try to give back. I think one thing that, with the unanimous decision by Fish Creek, and I'll try to make this quick, we went on something that, the community needed. What can we give back? The Wild Tomatoes were family-friendly, good atmosphere, and it just made a lot of sense for us to save those versus, Airbnbs with the locations of the park and also the waterfront location in Sister Bay. We were real nervous about that. I was approached by actually a gentleman that I did business with in Green Bay on the Cookery Building, and that's where this restaurant will be at 4135 Main Street. He owns the adjacent Airbnb, and he was going to convert the cookery into an Airbnb and contacted me to see if I had any interest in the building to remain as is as a restaurant. We've seen so many restaurants leave Fish Creek surrounding areas, from the cookery, the Greenwood, the Gibraltar Grill, in the surrounding areas that we took a leap of faith and thought that we could make a pretty nice restaurant out of it. I think I sold that concept to Fish Creek. It's going to be a 360, I don't want to say a 365 restaurant, but 6 days a week during in-season, 5 days a week in the off-season. It's going to be a fun atmosphere, from steaks to burgers to, we're going to bring back breakfast and lunch as a brunch to satisfy everyone who wanted the cookery breakfast back. So that's trying to be cost conscientious of the entire operation. So that's going to be kind of the concept of it, and we are going to dovetail off of the Wild Tomato concept of wood-fired. So I believe this is going to be Door County's first wood-fired steak, seafood, burgers, etc. on a premier wood-fired grill that we're purchasing for the operation. My director of culinary is here, Hannah Marks, has significant industry experience. She's heading the operations, using local suppliers like Mark to do our electrical, etc., which is nice, doing a great job. But like I say, I don't really have a whole lot of interaction there, but Hannah is kind of spearheading the operational and startup of the business, which is fantastic. I guess some questions that, I would, if I was on the board, what would I maybe ask? What are you losing by, selling the reserve license? I guess you've had the reserve license for, a considerable amount of years. You have not sold it. You had the opportunity. With population growth, as Sevastopol and the county grows, you will be applicable for a new license when you hit your threshold. So you could possibly, in maybe the next 5 to 10 years, get another reserve as population grows. So that would be a win. I think it would determine on the cash value of what you propose tonight. You know, it would be a cash influx of capital for Sevastopol to complete any projects, community improvements, parks, recreation, et cetera. So if you're looking to do things with money needed that is not available currently, we could help in that way. And then one other caveat I'd just like to throw in is if we can come to some agreement, I always like to, I don't want to say reward, but give a stipend to the community for helping me. So any Sevastopol resident with a Wisconsin driver's license, for the first 12 months of operation, we would be willing to give on each meal a 10% discount if you come to the establishment and try it and actually enjoy it and come back. So the atmosphere of that, the beer and wine liquor license works fantastic for pizza and salads, but when we want to open a fully functional lunch, brunch, and to have a steak or have a nice dessert and an after dinner drink, this type of, I don't want to really call it a supper club, but more of a restaurant, higher end restaurant tour atmosphere, the liquor license would surely help us to get established and get us through the tough times of, you know, the winter months where we definitely will lose money, but we are willing to stay open for the local people and also some of the tourists that are still coming up. So from a high level, that's I think everyone knows the building fairly well. It's going to have a facelift if you've driven past it. We've got all new windows going in and new flooring, and we've opened it up so that it's more of a open atmosphere for patrons to talk and, you know, camaraderie together. And I'm excited about it. I hope you see my passion. I wouldn't have done it if, you know, we didn't want to do it. We put significant dollars into the investment. You know, the building was $2 million out the chute. The renovations will be nearly $1.25 million. Just the interior design of the building is going to be close to $500,000 to $750,000. And then obviously, you know, we're bringing on 40 to 50 staff members that, you know, we're going to pay and get benefits and things too that, you know, can help us support the business for the local people and the tourists. And I hope that you see value in it and we can come to a agreement.
Good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. All right. Anybody, go, please.
I'm looking at the minutes from the town of Gibraltar of March 5th. And so the application has been submitted to the town of Gibraltar, and all of the points covered in that application as far as federal ID and sales tax number and disclosure of LLC directors and all of that, and fire inspection, everything, that will all be complied with, correct? Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have a question?
Could you remind the group what we have for an inventory of liquor licenses?
We had 3. We had 2 unused normal and 1
Last meeting,
reserve.
yeah.
One reserve, thank you.
Correct.
Yep.
Right. So and we've gotten more liquor licenses back than we have had requests to go out. So I think we're in pretty decent shape in terms of that aspect. And not having a business community like they do in some of the other towns, I don't foresee a cookery type establishment moving into our town. There's not a particular place, but at any rate, that's just my thoughts. So in all fairness, I was called, Matt did call me weeks ago when we had a brief discussion about the fact that he wanted to request this. And in all fairness, I also shared with him the conversation with respect to Glacier Ridge. So he at least understands if we do decide to sell where the starting point is, I'm assuming. But so I guess the question is from the board, what's your take? Do we want to consider transferring the license to Gibraltar or not?
Why not?
I think it's
fine.
worthy of discussion, although I would love to see all of our liquor license occupied with businesses up and running, but I don't foresee that in the real near future, but So I'm definitely open for discussion and negotiation on a price.
Okay. You mentioned, yes?
Yes, negotiation, absolutely.
I'll keep jumping back and forth. Brent,
Yes, yeah.
guess who's left?
Amy? Oh, I'm gonna be selfish and say yes, because I want some money for my park.
Yes.
Your park?
My park.
Your park?
My park.
All right, so we're over the first hurdle. The license is available if the price is right, just
Have
like the TV game show?
So do we write a number on a sticker and say here, and he writes his number, and we go back and forth, and
Bob Barker better, though. I don't-
I'm willing to arm wrestle.
That's a very good question. We don't have an auctioneer.
Have we been made an offer? I mean, nothing official, obviously.
A starting number?
Yeah, well, we know, from my perspective, we know where the starting number is. It's the finishing number that matters. So,
Just add a couple $100,000 to it and we're good.
all right, starting number's $275,000. I'm sure we'll work down from there. That was just Jeannie's thought, not mine. Okay?
You gotta start somewhere.
I was in real estate, you always start high.
If I were you, I would counter. How's that? I'm gonna leave it in your hands, all right?
Well, every dollar counts at this point, I've got to tell you. I'm self-funding this myself, only with the line of credit through Nicolay Bank to run the operations once it gets started. So like I say, I'm putting significant investment, I don't think just in Gibraltar or Fish Creek, but in the entire community. And I will continue to do that. And hopefully maybe I could do a wild tomato in Sevastopol and we put one of those liquor licenses in there.
Oh, there you go.
So please keep adding that. John, we had a really good conversation, I appreciate it. It was to the point, I think I told you in the Gibraltar meeting, they asked if we wanted to include Jacksonport and go after both.
Right.
I said no. I think Sevastopol has entertained the idea, and I want to move forward and just target or go and request from you. So I think that speaks volumes, hopefully also. I can set the escrow up for Nicolay Bank. I can escrow the money tomorrow. I have proof of funds as of 5:50 today of balances that significantly cover all of this. I have a personal checkbook. I could write you a $10,000 non-refundable deposit for it tonight if you get the deal done. You were at $75,000, I believe, with the cheese guy. $100,000. Call it a day. I'll write you the check tonight.
I'm okay with $100,000, but that's just me.
You started at 275. I think we should try to get somewhere in the middle.
Well, one point in negotiation is you never give the number up right away,
I haven't.
but one did.
Well, Linda
But that
just
was her
said that
opinion.
she's in favor of it. She didn't.
Or we beat around the bush for an hour, I don't know.
I did
Right.
not hear the gavel sound.
And I guess it's very important for us as we move forward, because we are targeting, close to a Memorial Day start, hopefully, or shortly thereafter. We wanted to make sure that all our T's were crossed, our I's are dotted, that the proper paperwork in. This is what you call a handshake, no BS deal. It would be streamlined, like I say, the escrow would be set up immediately tomorrow, effective, efficient, and it's cash in the pocket. I guess I'm just asking this as courtesy to hopefully work with me.
Move ahead.
On pricing and not gouge it when you do have 3 additional licenses that you do have available, considering that Gibraltar sold theirs for $20,000.
I would entertain, from my perspective, 135. No, I don't know how the board feels about that. That's up to you. I'm taking your offer and cutting it in half. So,
Didn't hear anything from Mark yet.
yay, no,
I-
up, down?
I mean, obviously I'll take 135, but the 100,000 isn't horrible.
We're only getting one to sell.
How would we need to know?
Possible.
Holiday, 117.5. Yeah. I think that's more than fair,
It's up to you guys.
Okay.
and that's a lot of money.
I hear you.
That's a big part.
All right, let's, we'll go down. Mark?
Should we make a motion, or
Well, yeah, but we'll start with your,
117.5 sounds wonderful.
so you're making a
Yes,
motion
I
that,
can make the motion to accept the offer from Matt Segorick for $117,500 for our reserve Class B liquor license.
okay, so we have a motion by Mark, a second by.
I'll second.
Second by Trent. Transfer the license to Gibraltar to eventually to Matt for $117,500.
Oh, excuse me, I said Matt. Yeah, I said it incorrectly. I said
Gibraltar.
Matt Segorick.
Town of
Town of Gibraltar.
either way.
Do we need to set any conditions as to, Mr. Segorick had mentioned 10% down, or, you know, within 30 days? I mean, you must have to set a time limit here.
Well,
For legal aid, or I can write you a personal check today?
would we need, I mean, our lawyer
Steve, what
involved to
would-
make sure everything's done?
Or I think that mine would have to actually go to Gibraltar, right?
Yeah.
Town of Gibraltar, and then they would
How do
reimburse,
you-
or I could just set the escrow account up tomorrow. And then we would just escrow the money in to the town of Gibraltar, they could show you that the escrow is there,
That,
release the funds.
that'd be
release the
fine with me.
license.
Does that work for you, Steve?
And I think that's easiest for them, as I would just set the account. up
That's fine, because we know where they live and we can run them down.
We'll take you off if you need
So
to.
why don't you give us to the first of May to get it all set
All set?
up, if that works for you.
I don't want to be a stickler, but I'd rather have it sooner than later, Steve.
Okay.
So give yourself a couple days just to get him to give you the escrow money, and then you can work the paperwork out, something along those lines.
I can have the account set tomorrow, I've already talked with Nicolay, and I'll have the money in it for you tomorrow.
So if we do that, do you just want proof of it, some proof of that?
Just that you have the funds. I mean, you can call and say you have the funds, that's sufficient.
Yeah, we can do
They'll be
that.
the only ones.
You can
that
work
distribute
that?
the funds then, just Sevastopol.
Okay,
We can do that, and then we'll plan on having everything complete by May then.
and no problem with that at all. Okay. Any other comments from the board?
So the motion will reflect those.
All right,
Conditions.
so the motion will reflect those conditions, and we will transfer the license to Gibraltar Township for $117,500. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your generous offer.
Thank you.
We will put it to use, so if your kids
I know you
play
will.
baseball,
I wouldn't
they'll-
want to, I'm happy to do it, I am, it benefits me, and it benefits your community, and like I say, it does, you know, gonna help Gibraltar, and it's also gonna help you with the funds, so hopefully.
great.
it's
Thank
a-
you very
it's a-
much.
It's a win-win.
And you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting unless you want to.
What's your glutton for
Well, it gives me
punishment?
opportunity, I'll email the bankers.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt and Hannah.
Thank you.
Where did I put my agenda?
You're welcome.
Oh, here we go.
Good evening.
Good luck.
Okay, next item on our agenda for this evening is a petition from Russ Bury to rezone 9.21 acres from prime ag to general agriculture, to establish a campground and to use this property for additional agricultural purposes. Property is located at 5299 State Highway 57, which is on the corner of Highway T and Highway 57, just north of wonderful downtown Valmy. Linda, you had this at your Plan Commission meeting, so why don't I let you go?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do not see Mr. Berry here.
I think he's in back.
There he is. So I'll just go through what the Plan Commission talked about and discussed and our decision, and then if Mr. Berry wants to add anything to that. So we had our Plan Commission meeting on April 10th at 5:30, and of course, we are provided with the entire packet, just as our board members are, from the land use. I also included information as to, from the Door County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, as it relates to camping and screening and buffers and setbacks and all the other campground ordinances that are under the county's control and regulation. And I gave those, also provided that to Mr. Berry. So Mr. Berry summarized his wish to improve his property, to operate within the regulations, add to the tax base by offering camping facilities to the tourist industry. He is aware that his parcel is along the Door County Coastal Byway, which does impose some additional regulations on signage. Also with the ag use, he does have an existing pond and a farm market, so perhaps this could be an additional educational tool as it relates to agritourism. Should a campground be established, it is our understanding that access would be from County T and not Highway 57. We do have one of the neighbors here tonight, Mr. Hasenegger. He owns the property to the northeast across County T from the applicant's property. He had asked about the number of campsites that might be allowed, and of course that is controlled by the comprehensive zoning ordinance. Mr. Berry has marked out 40 campsites. And Mr. Hasenegger indicated that he would have no problem with the campground on that property. So as the Plan Commission went through the discussion and asked questions, we addressed some of the requirements and regulations, again, that a campground, if it were established, and how Mr. Berry planned to address several points of a campground: sanitation, water supply, electrical hookups, density, traffic, the economic viability, screening, buffers, vegetation, appearance of the property, and some other concerns that our Plan Commission members had. We did look at the draft report from land use, and we recognize that this is a very, it's a triangle-shaped parcel. So even though it is zoned prime ag, which would be a 20-acre minimum, this parcel is grandfathered in and is currently prime ag. Mr. Berry wishes to change that zoning to general ag. And the Plan Commission felt that that change from prime ag to general ag would still reflect our intent to keep it rural, to keep it agricultural, and eventually, if it were to go to a campsite, again, that would be under county jurisdiction. We made it very clear, following our discussion, that we support the zoning change from prime ag to general ag only. That if a campground, if the zoning change is granted, it would have to come back to the Plan Commission and to the town board and to the RPC. And again, that would be under county regulation. So we had 5 Plan Commission members there, and it was unanimous. 5 of us supported his zoning change, again, clear zoning change only. We felt that like I mentioned earlier, this change still supports the town's future land use goals to keep things agricultural and rural. And again, if the recommendation, if it comes back for a campground, that would be a totally different matter for us.
That would be a conditional use, correct?
So the request is for a change from prime ag to general ag. If that zoning change is granted, and Mr. Berry continues his request for a campground, that would be a different matter.
Okay. Russ, do you have any comments that you'd like to make before we move on here?
I support the decision to rezone.
Well, that would be a... Okay.
I don't know if Mr. Hasenegger wanted to add anything to that. Mark, did you want to?
I got no problem with whatever he wants to do, that's why we own land up here.
Thank you.
Board members have any comments, questions?
If I could have one other thing too.
Sure.
I mentioned earlier the financial aspect of this, if it were to eventually go for a campground, and that was a concern that some of the Plan members talk about was the, thank you, viability as a campground business.
Board members have any
And
comments,
also,
questions?
if it is granted,
I could have
one
granted
other thing
some
too, I
financial
mentioned
assurance
earlier,
that all
the
the conditions and
financial
requirements would be met.
aspect of this, if it were to eventually go for a
I guess I would
campground, and
only
that was a
add to the
concern that
conversation in
some
that
of the plan commissioner
you fully
members talked
understand
about
that if you
was
do
the,
proceed after
thank
this
you,
has been rezoned
viability
to a
as a
campground, that there will
campground
be
business.
have any
And
conditions
also,
placed.
if it is granted,
I could
that
have
you have
one
to
other thing
fulfill.
too, I
Some of
mentioned
those,
earlier, the
maybe things that
financial
you wouldn't generally
aspect
expect.
of this,
I
if
don't
it
know
were
what they might be,
to
but
eventually go for
they
a
can, I guess I would
campground, and that
only
was
add
a
to
concern
the
that
conversation in
some
that,
of the plan commissioner
just so you
members
fully
talked
understand
about
that if
was
you can be a little bit more
Thank you.
complex, been rezoned
Viability
to
as
a
a
campground, that
campground
there will be
business. And
conditions
also,
placed.
if it
other
is
than that,
granted,
I could
that
have
you
granted
one
to
other thing,
fulfill.
I
Some of
mentioned
those
earlier, like I
things
said,
that
looking at the
you
comprehensive
wouldn't
zoning
generally
ordinance
expect.
of this, if
I
it
don't know
were,
what
the
they might
regulations
be,
are
but
eventually go
they
for
can,
a
I guess I would
campground, and
only
that was
add
a
to the
concern.
conversation in
Some
that
of the plan commissioners.
just so you
members
fully
talked
understand
about
that if you
was
can be a little bit more
the
complex, been
viability
rezoned to
as
a
a
campground, that there will
business.
be
And
conditions
also,
placed.
if it
other
is
than that,
granted,
I could have
you
granted
one
to
other
fulfill.
thing, I
Some of
mentioned
those
earlier, like I
things
said,
that
looking at the comprehensive
wouldn't
zoning
generally
ordinance
expect.
of this,
And
if
you have
it were, the
comments that might
regulations
be,
are
but
eventually go for
they
a
can, I guess I would
campground, and
only
that was
add
a
to the
concern.
conversation in
Some of
that
the plan commissioners.
just so you
members
fully
talked
understand
about
that if you
was
can be a little bit more
the
complex, been
viability
rezoned to
as
a
a
campground, that there will
campground
be
of support from the town board for Mr. Berry's request to rezone from prime ag to general ag only. That is our recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion by Linda,
And I'll second.
second by Trent. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hey,
Opposed? Good luck, Russ. All right. Driveway permit. This has been around for a little bit. It involves some parcels of land, excuse me, off of Rock Ridge Road, basically behind the subdivision behind Ray Rip's farm property. There's a question here as to whether or not we want to allow a driveway permit to come off of Rock Ridge. If you've read the packet, and there's an awful lot of information relative to this, we were approached, I don't know the date off the top of my head, but I'll say 15 years ago, I think, by Joe Parent, to put a subdivision in that same geographic area. In fact, I think it was if our recollection is good, I think it was a condensed or concentrated plat they were trying to do to increase the density of homes with the access for the property coming off of Dunn Road or County P. I hate to do this to Linda, but this is, she's going to get this again to at least discuss it and figure out where we're tracking. Linda?
No? Okay, that was back in 2005 when the Parent family approached the town about doing a proposed subdivision. Again, this is property between County P and Rock Ridge Road. And he even went so far as to lay out a subdivision with lots and all that, and road easements, and actually 2 cul-de-sacs. But it never came to fruition. So Mr. Parent has applied for a driveway permit. I wish we had an overhead, because that would help us a lot as far as seeing the situation. I think you have it in your packet,
Yep.
the GIS overhead. So Mr. Parent is applying for a driveway permit off of the end of the cul-de-sac of Rock Ridge Road. And in my mind, a cul-de-sac means one way in, one way out. It's very attractive to the neighborhood for kids and pets and families and strollers and everything else, because they know there is no through traffic. I don't see this as a hardship for Mr. Parent. if he were to come off of County P. As you can see from the overhead, there's actually road plans already in that property off of County P. There is a driveway off of County P, which would give him access to the parcel behind Mr. and Mrs. Nelson's place. Parent also owns a parcel just south of 4514. It's a vacant parcel owned by the Rock Ridge Road Properties. And again, that also gives access to all of the parent property between Highway 57 and County P and Rock Ridge Road. My concern for granting this, and then one of the land use directors indicated that the town owns the right-of-way. Well, if we owned it, it wouldn't be a right-of-way. To me, a right-of-way is the privilege of someone using my property, but I still own it. So again, if you look at the overhead and look at the pink portion, the radius of the cul-de-sac is 66 feet, and then out from that 66 feet, the town does have a right-of-way from the property owners to use that for the placement of utility poles, driveways, whatever. I don't see this as a hardship if Mr. Parent was to come off of either County P or use, as I indicated, that other parcel that's vacant, that, to his proposed roads in that subdivision. Also, if you came off of County P, I believe you would have the option to hook up to the Sevastopol Sanitary District and have sewer. So that would definitely be an advantage. I don't think you could have that off of Rock Ridge. Again, I don't see this as a hardship. My question to Mr. Parent would be, why are you insisting on coming off of Rock Ridge as opposed to using an existing driveway on County P or using your access lot to the south? So that would be my question.
The answer to the question, the drive.
Grab a microphone, please. Would you hand him the microphone? Thank you.
The reason for it, the driveway to get to the two lots to the north a little bit and to the west, the access would be shorter, so the driveway would be shorter getting into those two lots. The second reason is the lots that, where that easement was established off of County P, then you'd have a driveway coming and affecting a possibility of two lots. There'd be a driveway on the back side of two lots that would eventually be established when that property is divided off of County P. So the shorter driveway and plus affecting the westerly end of the lots that would be eventually developed off of County P.
And then that raised another concern, because if that driveway is granted, I can just see driveways granted to all of the parcels should that subdivision actually go into effect. I know there are quite a few neighbors here. I don't know if you wanted them to comment or anything, Mr. Chairman.
We would give them an opportunity to.
Again,
to
just.
I guess the one thing is there's a state statute that says you have to allow access from the town from the town property, the town road to our property. It is a state statute that you have to allow.
I have looked at that statute, section 66.105, and there's also some case history where there was some caveats to that, so. I'm not an attorney, but.
Neither am I.
Ladies, I assume that you came here to speak? If you turn around and grab the microphone, we'll be able to hear you.
I am Marie Burbrick. I live at 4570 Rock Ridge Road. It would affect me. I own half of that property there. I've got my certified map here. He would be into my easement, and I can, if you grant him the driveway, I can foresee 5-10 years down the road him connecting it to the road that's already out there coming off P and making Rock Ridge Road a through road. And that is not the reason we bought that property on that road. We all had children, and we bought it for them to be able to be safe on it. And it is still going on today. Right now, there are 14 little children on that road, and we've got enough traffic on that road from the tourists not reading the dead end sign, and they speed through there at 55 miles an hour. And it's not very safe for these children anymore. Anybody else?
Marty Gerber, and I do indeed live at 4541 Rock Ridge Road, and I've had a house there since 1996. So I've been there in the quiet time, and I'm now there in a time not so quiet. There are all these beautiful children who are out on the roads. They talk to each other, they play, their parents are there with them. We have a whole community of people who like each other, and we're all very, very different people. They call me Grandma. I'm old, but that doesn't bother them at all. At any rate, I also would like to make comment about the traffic. We have people who come not reading the dead end sign or not knowing how to read, coming through way too fast. And they get to the end, they slam on their brakes, they actually run off into the territory that we own sometimes because they're just not paying attention. So I'm opposed to the idea of having another driveway that will become a road. I mean, if you're going to put a driveway into a piece of property that's isolated, how long will it be isolated? If you own it, it's going to go right out to the highway. I foresee way, way too much traffic for our little children, and some of them are already in danger for their lives. So please do not do this.
Kent Ingram, 4559 Rock Ridge Road, the property next to that. And I've often wondered about people that buy homes next to airports and complain about airport sounds. It seems crazy, and I don't want to be that guy. We bought this property 3 years ago next to an undeveloped space, and I have no problem with somebody building a home there. And I suspect if they did, the people that are in this room would welcome them and love them like they welcomed and loved us. The problem is, as has been pointed out, that if you provide any kind of access through to P, when you run parallel to a school with a school zone, I anticipate that being the primary way people get around Sevastopol School and the slow down school zone. And we become Highway 57 in a place where we purchased a space to enjoy the cul-de-sac and the privacy and the quietness of that place. So I don't want to stop him from developing that land, but I do think that the access from that place off of Rock Ridge Road endangers the quality of life that we have in that part of the community. So,
Thank you. All right.
So I would just appeal to Mr. Parent to be a good neighbor and perhaps come off P.
The intent is not to, because you can deny a driveway access off of P, but the intent isn't to go from Rock Ridge to P. It never was. What we do is deny it access when you do the driveway. I put an application, which isn't the intent. It's just to get to those two lots.
Microphone.
Other members of the board, thoughts? I'll start with Mark.
If we do put a driveway in, going north between, well, be east of the vacant property, north of 4559, is there a way to say it cannot go any further? Where you cannot develop it any further, it has to stop right there with the cul-de-sac at the end of that?
Could it,
I mean, is
yeah, you're
that-
basically saying take away the easement from, that goes around 4875.
Yeah,
Yeah,
remove
yep.
that easement, and then go just stop at that corner of 4875 and whatever the undeveloped is north of 4559.
So you're saying, if a driveway permit is granted, it will strictly be to the benefit of lots 1 and 2
Yeah.
only?
Yeah,
But the driveway is actually entering off of the corner of lot 3. So there's 3 lots there that would benefit from that driveway permit, if you look at the
yeah, 'cause it
survey.
would have to go, yeah.
And he would have access to the backside of the unplanned access that's there already off of P.
The intent is that the access, the other easement that's been established, that.
Give him the mic,
stay
please.
there, and that's
Yeah,
gonna be-
take the mic, please.
The way the easement is drawn, coming off of P to service the balance of that property, I mean, the intent is for that to stay, and then those lots off of that easement would be developed with access only off of County P. So all I'm trying to do is get access to those 2 lots that would be slightly north and to the west of the cul-de-sac.
So, I have a question, ladies, just for conversation.
My question is, if you grant him the driveway, what does that do to my property? Is there enough easement, or is he going to be right there on
We're not
my
gonna,
borderline?
we won't be on your property. It'll be on the town property and then on,
What about the easement off of that? You've got to have so much of a setback on each side.
but it,
Okay, bear with me for just a second on a question here, but assuming that, and I have no idea if this can be done, but assuming that we could restrict access to his 2 lots, and that would be all, so that it would not become a throughway to County P, setting aside your easement issue for just a moment, would that be workable or not? And the reason,
That's the reason we bought the property where we bought it. And everybody on that road bought it for the same reason. It was a safe area. It did not go through the P or into any
No.
other property.
I'm asking the question that it does not go through to P. In other words, he has access to the 2 lots, but it does not extend in the P, so there's no road to P. I don't know if we can do this, I'm just asking hypothetically.
Problem is there's already access off of P with the road that he had already put in.
Okay, I'm not that familiar with that piece, Linda, are you?
Yes, there's a driveway off of P.
I know their driveway, I didn't know there was a
Right.
road.
Well,
Can,
it's undeveloped.
yeah, it's
Let's put
undeveloped,
it
but
in
there is a driveway there. It's a drivable driveway.
Okay.
Mr. Parent, do you intend to improve this as residential, single homes, single home only? Yes?
yeah, single-family homes, now, there is some of those, that property is zone mixed commercial, which would
Right,
allow
that's-
duplexes, but it would be residential.
Well,
The 2 specific lots that we're talking about would be single-family residential, yes.
Take the
You'll
mic.
use a mic,
You need the mic.
pass mic.
Again, just, we're at 4559, our property would be the north boundary of that. Would that affect, would an easement affect our property line? I don't know how far out it's going to go and how far in that would go. I don't know if it's going to affect our property at all. That's a question, I don't.
No. It'd go right straight, it's already past his property. It's not gonna go on the north side of that property.
But there would be a driveway there that his expectation was that there was no driveway there, right? That was your expectation, sir?
Well, I'm trying to figure out where the driveway would go into that property. If it comes off.
Well, it would have to be on his property. It would have to be on the
I wish we had an
line.
overhead. I wish we had the overhead
I
on the
know.
monitor.
Sorry, we don't.
The survey conveniently shows the road going all the way to Mr. Parent's parcels. However, the overhead shows the paved cul-de-sac with a right-of-way, not going, just the right-of-way goes to the parent parcels. That's my concern. You're crossing a right-of-way that is privately owned property.
Do you need a copy of?
We have that, thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
That's
You're-
not
you're-
correct. You're on town property. You're not
You're-
on anybody else's property.
Linda, you're referring to this, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my thoughts are that we support the residents and that we find some way to address their concerns and yet at the same time not open this up. I don't have a solution for that other than the legal aspects, which means we have to get our lawyers engaged with his lawyers, try and figure out some workable solution, because there's so many questions with respect to the right-of-way and whether or not we do or do not have to give you access. And I understand the code, we've been through that. And obviously, two attorneys will have two different interpretations of it. But for my money, I'd support the cul-de-sac as it is today. I don't know how everyone else feels, but
I agree with that.
Well, that's the purpose of a cul-de-sac. I think that was my initial comment, one way in and one way out, and makes for a nice, safe neighborhood.
That won't be changing. There'll just be two extra lots that'll be accessing it, one way in and one way out.
Are both of those parcels zoned, single-family SF20, or, I don't recall?
I don't know what they're zoned.
that's a little potential issue too.
Mhm. Yeah, especially if one is commercial.
No, those are not commercial. No, those are not, those are
I
some
could
some
go
residential.
to, I
just
suppose
don't
I
know
could
what
go
the
to GIS
density
and
is.
find out. Thank you. Is there any kind of compromise?
I think, for my money,
I don't think so.
I support the cul-de-sac aspect, at least for now. And I'll end up saying we're gonna end up paying our attorney to resolve it probably, but that's my initial feeling, not knowing where it's gonna go.
Yes, and there's existing right-of-ways there
Yeah.
that can be used.
Yeah.
That was the purpose of those.
Well, someone needs to address it, take a motion that we can vote on, or pass, table, something.
Well, I'll make a motion that we do not support this driveway application at this time,
I'll second that.
based on input from the neighbors and the expectations of a cul-de-sac. And there are other, it's not a hardship. There are two other alternatives, maybe three alternatives.
All right, we have a motion from Linda, seconded by Jeannie, to deny the driveway permit. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'll just say, it doesn't matter at this point, because I know which way the vote's gonna go. But I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. Progress, it's called progress, right? We're trying to get people to come into this community, and we're not getting the progress. We're not moving forward. We're pausing it. If you look at this picture right here, unless this is wrong, is that not correct? Where her land ends there and you can't come in on that corner? I don't know.
The dark pink is the paved surface.
Is this the one you have?
The light pink is the right-of-way.
Okay, so
So-
we own the right of way.
We do not own a right-of-way.
Who owns the right?
If I own property, I will give you a right-of-way to cross over it, but I still own it.
Right. So who owns that pink on the north end of the cul-de-sac?
Well, I'm saying that the property owner owns it.
So this is not
That's
correct.
my opinion.
We have had ongoing discussions
Yes.
back and forth with the county, with the GIS people on who, what, where, when, and how. It is not a crisp answer.
And we're not saying that there shouldn't be lots, I mean, the lots are there. But by the map, there is access. So.
I never once said there is
Just
not
don't be-
access. That's-
Right,
You're putting words in my
so,
mouth.
but you said,
I'm just-
you just said growth. Nobody's stopping growth.
Well, okay, I lived at 4875 for 10 years. It's terrible, terrible to get in and out of there. It's horrible. The 35 did not help, okay,
Because of the hill?
because of the hill.
Yeah,
On both, going both ways,
understand.
okay? So that first access is just BS. They did their due diligence by moving it from that west side of 4875, because that piece of property is absolutely useless the way it is, if the driveway is on the side of that hill. So I just personally think that you buy a piece of property with open land all around it, you know it's gonna get. And you guys are my friends, I'm not, nothing against anybody in this room. But you buy a piece of property and there's open lots all around it, what's gonna happen? That is a residential area where you're building more residences. That's my feeling on it. It's gonna be 4-1 if I vote nay, but that's just my 2 cents.
Any other discussion?
Does it seem,
Point of information, what's the motion on the floor?
To deny the driveway
No.
permit?
To not support the driveway permit request at this time.
Mark, just so I understand, because there's more maps around here than, you used to live here.
Yes, 4875.
And when you're referring to the driveway, are you referring to this green,
That second one, yeah.
this one here?
Yep.
Okay, and you said that driveway was moved? Or,
Well, they added that because of the access to the one to the west of 4875.
oh, where the yellow is?
Yeah.
Okay.
We tried to get a driveway permit to come in on that westerly lot, and the county turned it down because of the speed and the visibility of cars accessing it from that.
That was the
from
one that
P.
was directly opposite Country View?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
That was denied by the county.
that makes sense.
All right. Another question?
Just thinking, how can the county deny a permit to a parcel that's abutting a county trunk?
Just like the town is trying to do.
Oh, so they didn't think it was a good idea either?
Oh, it was coming off a P.
I mean,
That's-
if your parcel is on a county trunk and I want a driveway, wouldn't the county have to say, yeah, we gotta give you a driveway? It might not be the safest driveway, but we have to give it to you.
Well, maybe
No,
they're doing the
that's-
same thing.
that's not
we're
true.
Doing the same thing here. They were protecting kids that could possibly live there, and we're protecting kids that live here, so it's a horse apiece.
And I agree, I would love to see more homes in that area.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll take a whole different approach to this, since we haven't voted on this at this point in time. Why don't we hold this over for another month, which I know will excite Steve immensely.
It's Mike, that's
I'm sorry.
That's my,
Steve left.
Yeah, that's all right. To give us a little more time to go back in, look at this, see if there's any other agreeable way to go at this without denying it and giving it to our attorneys.
I'm fine with that.
Which is, we know what's gonna happen. I mean, go over, take a look at it, see what you think, see if we can get any further clarification on the access point off the road. I certainly empathize with the people that are on that road, and I don't want to see it become a through road, but maybe there's some suggestion that we are just not thinking of at the moment. So I would propose that
Could I say something?
we hold it for a month. Microphone, please.
Microphone.
Well, I look at this from the point of view, we're talking about
Sorry.
speculative children who might be coming along someday at some other part of our road that you want to add on. We have all of these children on our road now, and we are at this point confronted by people who are speeding now. So to speculate on somebody who might have children or somebody who doesn't have children but wants to start a business over there, they, in my opinion, have no status yet. We have the status of we're paying, we have our homes, we have our children, we have our safe neighborhood. We have a lot at stake here. And it feels like you're just not sure you want to deal with this. So that's my perspective.
Well, they're not, those lots in question are not commercial. So there's not going to be a business started there unless it's a home business, which shouldn't generate, you know, some kind of extensive traffic. But there should be some kind of workaround that is staring us in the face, and yet we haven't spotted it. So it's kind of like those things.
Sorry, excuse me. Can we do, I mean, even if this passes or fails, or whatever, can we also do some more signage for them, for the dead end? Can we look into that?
And that's,
Put something on the corner saying no through access? You know,
already there. It's already there.
I understand it, but can we make it bigger? Can we make it more? Can we do, we don't have to add anything else.
we'll call
If we get it
upon
started, we can-
Nassawapi and get them to put a billboard up.
I mean, we can do something to
Monster
add to it.
Well, do you want to amend your motion that we just roll this for 30 days and give us a chance to pursue any other avenues first?
Well, I think the motion is dead
We
because
can't.
nobody seconded it.
No?
Jeannie seconded.
Jeannie seconded.
So we'd have to, we
All right,
can't
if you want to withdraw your second, I will withdraw my motion.
I will withdraw my second.
And I will withdraw my motion.
Okay. Let's roll this whole thing over for one more month. Give an opportunity to chat. Maybe our attorney has an idea or two without having to go. We can come back, revisit it without affecting everybody negatively.
Can I
Leave it
make,
at that.
can I make a motion to table this to next month?
Sure.
Second.
Well, I guess we have a motion by Mark, second by Trent. Table it to next, roll it over next month. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Good. All right. Sorry, folks, but I think it's the best course of action in the short term to take. Besides, we love to have attendance at our meetings, and so we would invite you back, and we will have refreshments if needed. Is that good? No. All right. All right. So, okay, the next item on the agenda is a discussion regarding the bylaws for the EMRs, and there is a lot to discuss. There is, thanks.
Thank you.
There are multiple sets of bylaws. There are issues within the bylaws. There are concerns that the town has with respect to so many issues. So what I'm going to do, just to start the conversation, is I want to give you, both the board and the audience, a little background as it relates to the EMRs, also known as the first responders from years back. And initially, this group that was formed was an initial group of 5, and then over time, as interest grew and demand grew, that number was increased to 15, and then later to 20. That was the most recent revision in terms of the roster. The current roster today stands at 21 and counting. There are some ups and downs, but we believe we're somewhere around 21, perhaps 22 today, with an authorized number of 20. Our EMR group is the only group that is not managed under the respective town or village's fire department. So all the other EMR organizations report up through a fire department. We are the governing body for our EMRs, not necessarily by choice, but we do not have a fire department that is serviced for us under contract with the city of Sturgeon Bay. Initially, this group was all volunteer, but in 2007, we started paying $150 per person for workers' comp and approximately $100 per person for liability insurance. We also pay for their training, for all their training sessions by the hour, as well as updates to their training that can be fairly expensive. Plus, we pay $25 plus for each hour that a call is taken. So if they're out at a residence and it takes a couple hours, we reimburse them for that expense. We also pay for them to attend our meetings. And we also currently pay the crew chief $100 a month to work through this. In addition to that, we pay for their radios, which are $573 a piece, their pagers, which are $364 a piece, the defibrillators, which were acquired through a partial grant, but the town contributed close to $22,000 to acquire those. Our annual budget for the EMRs is what is given to us by the group. There's no haggling on our part. If you've ever attended any of our budget workshops, they tell us what they need, and that's what we fund. Their supply budget last year was $5,000. So far this year, we will be paying out through the month of March $8,037 for various called meetings, training sessions. So we do value the EMRs. We certainly invest in them. I just want to make sure everybody understands from a background, where we are with this, and I think the board needs to understand that as well. Now, the next question becomes, well, why do we need more oversight? Why do we need to look at the EMR's bylaws and also functions with the chair of that committee, which is Trent Olson? And I'm going to give just a couple, for instances. One of them is an email I received from Aaron LeClaire, who is the director of Door County Emergency Services. And he was, I should say, the EMR submitted a roster by the crew chief for reimbursement under the process that is currently used. We are reimbursed for each one of our EMRs for $150 from the county. The roster list that was submitted to Aaron LeClaire in 23 indicated there were 20 EMRs, so you would have anticipated that we would have received funding back for 20 EMRs. But Aaron, after he reviewed the list, determined how many of those were home-based EMRs. Home-based EMRs mean live and reside in our town and are not participating in Egg Harbor, Jacksonport, or as another EMR. This means that basically reside in our town and not a member of another EMR group. Last year, we paid for 21 EMRs based on the roster that was submitted to the town treasurer. We are reimbursed 6 by the county. So in that year alone, we lost $2,250 in that the base roster list that was submitted was inaccurate. The county also asked for the number of EMRs, our EMRs, that will need the new digital radios, and the list submitted by the crew chief was numbered 16. As a governing body, we would like to have names versus just numbers. We have asked twice for a list by name, only to be told that the county only asked for a number. The overall expense for these digital radio pagers potentially could exceed $110,000. Granted, there will be organizations applying for grants, but the bottom line is it could exceed that amount at our town. These names will identify those who qualify if they are a home-based EMR residing in Sevastopol. It only seems prudent to take such action. To our knowledge, we have no list of current EMRs that are considered home-based, or do we have any listing of the equipment that they use on record? The crew chief most recently ordered a new radio and pager without any conversation with the treasurer or the committee chair to our knowledge. It's an expense of roughly right $1,000. There are too many gaps in what we expect and what we're getting that need to be fixed. And lastly comes the issue of the bylaws themselves. We are not sure why there are multiple sets of bylaws. The bylaws that the town approved were brought to the town board by the chair of the committee, Trent, in the summer of '24. He informed us that the bylaws were approved. In early 2025, a new crew chief decided that the EMRs did not approve them, nor was there a quorum, and therefore decided to revert to an older set from 2022. Starting in September of '24, 12 of our EMRs acknowledged in writing that they understood and read these bylaws as created and approved and would abide by them. Why we have a whole discussion centered around a new set of bylaws, frankly, is beyond me. So, just as a quick overview. Now, in the packet, you have a complete set of, I should say a complete set, there's multiple sets, but you have two sets of bylaws. You have the bylaws that Trent presented and approved, and then we have the bylaws that reverted back, I should say the bylaws. We have the bylaws that started from 2022 that have had a number of revisions. The most recent copy that we received from the EMRs, I believe, was dated February 17th. And a lot of changes were made. Frankly, I don't understand why, when we had an approved set, there was no communication back. The fact that the EMRs all signed, that they had acknowledged, read, and agreed to abide by the bylaws. And I've got 12 signed copies of those. I'm a little confused.
You're saying the bylaws that were approved.
The bylaws that we
in May-
approved in May of
in May of
24.
June 17th, 2024.
Right.
At the June 17th.
At the June 17th meeting,
Right.
directed from a set that were marked 5/24. So, we need to figure out where this is going. The revised bylaws that the EMRs have taken on their own, obviously, do not reflect what we have approved. They've made changes without any input from the town. Some significant changes, such things as elimination of monthly meetings, which were previously held, voting, proxy voting.
We should be clear, the copy that you have has not been approved by the EMR agency. That was a draft that, we don't really know why this was thrown into the packet. The EMR group wanted to go through the bylaws and amend them. And per the resolution that was approved unanimously by the four of you and the other board member at that time,
Right.
they have the right to do with me. It doesn't say in that so in that resolution, they have the right to go through and amend the EMRs or EMR bylaws as they see fit.
Not if you read what you gave us, Trent.
I'm sorry,
And
where is it?
the actual 25 version that you presented to, the town board. I mean, this is the set that you brought dated May 20th of '24.
Yeah, and yes, and per the resolution from 2022, they want to amend that. So that's what we were going to do, is amend it.
But all of this has taken place without any input from the town.
No, according to the resolution, it doesn't need the input from the town.
Well, that's where I tend to disagree. I mean, we are the governing body, and for them, and I believe in the verbiage in there, in fact, it says that they will approve it. And there were numerous changes that were made to the suggested set. Now, we also asked, prior to this meeting, if there was another set that were finalized. We had not gotten anything back from you,
Correct.
so
Correct. So,
we need,
yeah, I'm happy. So, we have the resolution that established the committee. And the
Right.
committee is made up of the appointed board member, that would be me, and the EMR chief. It shall be the function of the Town Emergency Medical Responders Committee, among other matters, review and approve any proposed changes in the bylaws of Sevastopol Emergency Medical Responders.
Yep.
So that allows me and the EMR chief to go through and make changes to the EMR bylaws.
Oh, I tend to disagree, because you came back and you gave us the bylaws and approved them, and we approved them, and you would think that as part of that process, if you felt that that was the right course of action, you would have come forward and said, we are going to revise the bylaws and we would like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I apologize, it was what, my first 2 months of being here. I was not given this resolution.
I was not given the fact that we have 12 signed signatures that say they agreed to these bylaws as they were presented.
Okay, well.
This is a rather confusing aspect in and of itself. And we're,
So should we go with what's in the past, or should we find a good way to move forward?
well, I think, from my perspective, we have a set of bylaws that you presented and that we approved.
Yep, and now we're going to amend those.
We need to clarify and add many, I shouldn't say many, but a number of items that need to be addressed, whether they're addressed back through the bylaws in concert with you or the executive, I don't want to say executive committee, there is no executive committee. Things that deal with the issues that I just mentioned, things like our equipment, our reimbursements, our expectations, meetings, training. There's been a significant change in what you were working on that would indicate to me that there would be a significant deviation from what we already approved. So I believe the starting point is we have these approved bylaws, not the version from 2022. And if there's going to be made some adjustments to it and/or additions, that is the best working example to start with. So, I mean, that's, and I will let anyone else.
Whitney's got a comment.
Pardon me?
Whitney's.
I want to, if I can address a couple of the things you stated in your opening statement. So first of all, the 12 signatures were something that we were given by our previous crew chief, so that would be the crew chief in 2023, or 2024, not the one that we elected in January of 2025. That crew chief handed us a piece of paper and the bylaws that were approved on May 20th of 2024. We were not told that we were agreeing to the bylaws. We were told that we were signing, saying that we received a copy of them. We did not agree to them. We never voted on nor approved them at a meeting that held quorum, because in 2023 and 2024, we did not have a meeting that held quorum. So when we signed that piece of paper, it was not saying that we agreed, in my eyes, and that is partially my fault. I did not fully read the paper that my crew chief was handing me. But he told us that it was that we got a copy of them. That is something that I have signed in other departments, saying you have read and agreed to them. When I signed those papers, it specifically stated, and I was told, you're saying that you agree and read the bylaws. That's not what I was told by my crew chief from 2024.
You did sign, you signed it. I mean, logic says you read what you signed. You can't just arbitrarily then state, gee.
Reason would also state that I would trust my crew chief, but apparently I shouldn't have done that either.
Well, if you.
Additionally, you stated that we are over our 20-person capacity, which is correct. We also stated, or we sent in October of 2022, when we had a previous town board representative, which was not Trent, when we sent a resolution for the pay increase, which was done, we also sent a resolution to remove the cap on the number of first responders that we can have. There are multiple reasons for this. We are a volunteer department. Some of us are around during the day, some of us are around at night, some of us are only around on weekends. We have members who work on the ambulance. We have members who have family who live up here and they don't reside here, but they respond to calls. They want to help the community. And I think that a lot of this is getting away from the fact that I could never make a living on just responding to first responder calls. Not a single person could. We are here because we want to help our community. We are not here looking for a paycheck. I will note that last year I did make calls that I did not get paid for. And I did that because I'm here to help my community, not because I want to get paid. We also have members on our department who are members, reside in our town, would fit the by count of being a home member, and they don't get paid. They do not take a single paycheck from our town. This volunteer department is not here looking for money and looking to get paid for everything that we do. But we do want to be supported by our town for the people that we are helping. Addition to the roster, I know that the roster was sent that does include the addresses. So by the address, you could see which people are of the town if you looked at their address. Second, with the information that was submitted in 2023, that was a 20-person roster, only 6 by count were fully from the town. That was submitted under the previous crew chief, not our current crew chief. So I don't necessarily think that should be something on her. I do also want to note that we have talked with Trent in our meetings, and we have established that we will work with the other 2 departments that we are surrounding and have multiple people who are on both departments. That would be Egg Harbor, Sevastopol, and Jacksonport. And we have worked with those departments on getting gear, getting radios. I've been a member of this department for over 7 years, and I do not have a radio from Sevastopol. I also do not have a pager from Sevastopol, and I live in the town of Sevastopol. My radio and my pager come from Egg Harbor. So not every member.
And why is that?
Huh?
Why is that?
Because I was not provided one when I became an EMR here.
And are you an EMR in Egg Harbor?
Yep.
So they supply it?
Yes, even though I live in the town of Sevastopol.
Okay. So
We also have multiple members who didn't have a radio, which in our profession is a hazard. If I'm responding to a dangerous call, and they may only be in the town of Sevastopol, and they don't have a radio, if something happens on that call that law enforcement needs to get a hold of them, or they need to radio ahead to the ambulance to give them the incoming ambulance information, and they don't have a radio to do that, we are leaving that person stranded with limited ways of communication in that setting.
So let me come back to the pay. First off, the pay conversation was simply to show that we are committed to the EMRs and have been, and we have made those investments. Now, there is a cap as to how much you pay indefinitely. No one has been denied a radio. No one's been denied a pager. If they have, it's not because anyone has ever come and asked for it. So even with the most recent purchase, no one voiced anything to the clerk treasurer, Trent, to my knowledge. She just went and purchased a radio and pager from Northern Door Communications. Now, I'm just saying that's all part of this. So it's not that we're trying to, we know you're not trying to get wealthy on the town, but we also want you to understand we are committed to what they do. When we put forth a lot of money and time and effort, but there are things that are falling through the cracks and that have fallen through the cracks that we feel need to be addressed. And if you look at the bylaws that you chose to implement and the sequence with which you did it, it does not give me a lot of confidence that we are on the same wavelength. So I think training is a good thing. I think having meetings to communicate what's happening as a group of EMRs is a good thing. We obviously paid for you to even have those. So, I mean, it's something we encourage, not discourage. So, but there are so many other areas that there should be more focused communication. And whether it needs to be incorporated in the bylaws or the bylaws and an additional document outlining the committee and the crew chief's responsibilities, maybe that needs to happen as well. But the point is, those things need to be clarified, put in writing so we know who the responsibilities lie. And that's just, I guess, the tip of the iceberg kind of thing.
There were no new bylaws implemented. We are currently working under what we had, so nothing has been done outside of, there's no new bylaws that have been adopted by the agency at this time. for the record. We have not had a meeting to vote or do anything with those new bylaws, so nothing
But
has been.
you did have multiple meetings to work on the bylaws, and you did have multiple meetings scheduled to discuss and vote on the bylaws.
They
I
were
saw that in
canceled.
your minutes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like,
They weren't
I'm
held.
going to go back to what I said before.
Those meetings were canceled.
That's fine. And so by canceling them, let me back up. By canceling them, you agree that the approved bylaws from May of 2024 that were presented and approved by the town board are in existence, and those are the bylaws. That's it.
At this current time.
And that's where it's going to stay until we, as the governing body, adjust the bylaws in
Which is not
concert.
what, you just said she signed something. Here's your name signing this resolution from 2022, Dan Wolfel. And did you not read this?
I did read it. The bottom line, though, is we have a set of approved bylaws that we're going to work off of, not start from scratch using a set from 2022. I mean, that's basically it.
Under what authority do you get to say that? You signed this saying that you don't have that authority.
Trent,
You all voted on that and agreed on it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
can you read that resolution, top to bottom? Do you have it printed out in front of you?
The whole thing?
Well,
It's-
the part where it states that it's up to the EMRs, first responders to
I have it
change the
here.
bylaws.
Yeah.
Can you just give us that paragraph so we can all understand it?
Or say the name of
I
the,
think the chairman's misunderstanding what he said.
which resolution are you a copy of?
I emailed a copy to you, to everybody on the board a few weeks ago.
Which resolution?
It's resolution 2022-06 TB.
Right, I have it here. Excuse me. It was approved on August 15th of 2022.
Yes.
Yep. So it says, therefore, resolve the Sevastopol Town Board, County, blah, 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 creates Emergency Medical Responders Committee, consists of the crew chief, Sevastopol emergency responders, and 1 or 2 supervisors appointed by the chairman. It shall be the function of the Town Emergency Medical Responders Committee, among other, I was going to say among others, to determine, maintain a copy of the bylaws, a current copy of the bylaws and regulations of the Sevastopol Emergency Medical Responders. Review and approve any approved changes in the bylaws of the Sevastopol Emergency Responders. Review the hiring of medical responders. Oversee the licensing, insurance, training, and ensure compliance with applicable laws. Report information updates to the medical responders. Act consistent with the town board's requests as to other matters involving Sevastopol emergency medical responders. The point of the discussion is we have an approved set. If you want to revise them, if you want to go after that, fine. But we're going to build off of the set that were approved, and we're going to incorporate the things that we need to be in there to make sure that we've got communication, that we have training, that we know who's attending the meetings, the basics, the same kind of thing that we do here at the board. To me, that's the starting point. Not all the other stuff that has gone on in the background with a dramatic change, proposed dramatic changes. So, I mean, these people are employees of the town. We've resolved that with the attorney. We're willing to compensate and pay and insure them to make sure that, there's no concerns.
Yes.
Tim?
Microphone.
Are you suggesting then that the chairperson of your standing committee convene a meeting so that a discussion can be had to all of the concerns that both the board has, as well as the emergency responder group has, so that there can be a discussion had on the existing bylaws, and then that can be then forwarded to the standing committee, so Mr. Olson can bring that to the town board for approval?
Yes. That's essentially, we would define the roles and responsibilities of the crew chief. We would define what we, the board, the governing body, feel need to be incorporated in the bylaws, and that is done in concert. That's essentially it. Now, the other aspects we can deal with offline, resolutions about numbers, et cetera. But that's my take, and that's fairly well put.
That also would be my interpretation of an appropriate process.
Yeah. So comments from the board. I didn't mean to take all of that. Anyone? No one?
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
So this draft that we have last modified March 13th, 2020, the draft dated last modified March 13th, 2025
Yes.
is a draft. It hasn't been submitted
To anybody other
EMRs
than
or
the
anything.
EMR committee who wrote it. We are
I'm
the
sorry, what?
The EMR committees who wrote it received it. We sent it to our EMRs as to, this is what we have drafted. You can look at it, see what you think. Nothing has been gone through the agency, been voted on, nothing. That is simply a draft of something that we wrote.
Okay. Do you want suggestions on this draft or not?
Well, I think I've defined most of the requirements, but we certainly can put others in.
Well,
That
I'm kind of a stickler when it comes to grammar and punctuation and everything. In the bylaws, sometimes you refer to yourself as an agency, sometimes you refer to yourself as a group, and sometimes as a unit, and sometimes it says the town or the town board. Like I said, I'm a kind of a stickler that if you are referring to a specific town and a specific board and a specific agency, just be consistent throughout the document, otherwise it can be a little confusing. Like, sometimes you say Sevastopol Medical Responder Agency when it's actually Sevastopol Emergency Medical Responder Agency, just some consistency. Like I said, it's just kind of me as a stickler, but if you want a professional-looking document, just be consistent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The comment that I have is the confusion of committee and agency. So according to the bylaws that were voted on in the June meeting of 2024, the first line says, "The Sevastopol Emergency Medical Responders are a standing committee of the town board. EMRs are town employees, and the town of Sevastopol will provide workman's compensation and general liability insurance for EMRs." Those are the first lines.
Yes, so there was a, in this resolution, it made us a agency. That was done in 2022 due to concerns that had to go through. So on the resolution that Trent had presented earlier, it says the town Board of Supervisors and the town of Sevastopol does hereby continue to recognize the Sevastopol first responders as an agency of the town. So that's why it said a agency instead of a committee, because this resolution alludes to the committee being Trent and the crew chief, which would be the committee. So the agency would be the body that they are governing. So that's why the new bylaws refer to us as an agency, not a committee.
Which was supported by the attorney.
Yep.
According to the minutes of the 2022 meetings.
Exactly.
So, with piggyback on Linda's, with the grammatical and capitalization and just cleaning stuff up, can we just give those to Trent? We don't have to bring all that kind of stuff up here and just kind of show. I mean,
Sure,
there's
I
some.
mean,
well, that's in a draft that
I understand,
hasn't been.
but I mean, so if they overlook things, because you ever see those things where you read and it's got this thing spelled completely wrong, but you read over it? There's like a thing where it says meeting minutes for meetings. So, like, I mean, just small things like, I mean, I read every single word in here, just
Yep.
trying to help you out, because
Yeah.
it sounds funny.
No, and those suggestions can definitely
That's what
go
I'm
to
saying.
Trent,
Can we
and
just
we'll
give
meet
those
with
to Trent?
Trent again before
You know,
anything goes to the
secretary record
agency.
meeting minutes for meetings.
Let me back up for a
Just small
second,
things.
Mark, because we're talking about a set of bylaws that are draft.
Call it a rough draft?
Yeah, that's,
Make life easier for everybody?
that's what it is obviously rough draft, that's what I'm saying.
Excuse me.
So,
We have an issue here, or I should say, I have an issue, which I thought I had pretty well described, which is we have an approved set of bylaws. So correcting all the verbiage would be great in a draft, but it goes against what we're starting with. We should be starting with the approved set of bylaws, not a version from 2022. So that's my starting point, which I think we're losing sight of, and I could be wrong. If I am, that's fine, but we should be able to work from that document that's been approved and then build off of that and then add any other roles or responsibilities that the crew chief and/or the committee might have.
So the one that's in our packet, we shouldn't even looked at? is what
No,
you're
that
saying?
should
Not
have
at
never
all,
been
no.
sent to the town
No,
board.
No,
Okay.
yep.
That never
And-
went through our agent, like, through agency approval, so that shouldn't have been sent.
Yeah.
And that was
And
like
really
the
the-
third version, Mark. I didn't bother to include the ultimate, or the other versions that were out there. So it was obvious there was an intent to change. So my key is, this is what we start with. Whatever changes we deem necessary are based off of this document.
The other thing that I want to bring up is that we have talked to the Wisconsin EMS Board, just in response to getting suggestions as to what they would suggest as far as bylaws, anything that they would recommend being in bylaws. They actually suggested that we operate as other departments do, also off of SOGs and SOPs. So that is something that we did bring forward in 2022, I know, and that was not something that you guys wanted to do at the time. But I do want to note that the Wisconsin EMS direction was given to us to go with SOGs and SOPs. That is how the other towns do it,
Right.
even for EMRs.
Operating
Even,
guidelines,
you know, the
procedures.
EMRs have a
Standard
separate
operating
SOG.
procedures,
Yep,
protocols.
standard operating guidelines, and then
Guidelines,
standard
procedures,
operating
okay.
policies.
Policies.
Those, like in Egg Harbor, the standard operating guidelines do also get approved through the town board. That is something that the town board does review. Our standard operating policies do not. So that's more of like what you do on a scene for a certain situation. So they operate hand in hand, but are a little different. So if that is something that you guys would accept is a standard operating guideline, that is something that we have talked about wanting to work forward just to match with what is going on in other departments, not only in the county, but also in our state.
Well, we can certainly look at it. and
So
see
you
where
would
it
like us
fits.
to draft some?
So,
You would like to
I
see a
think-
draft of an SOG, or?
I think we ought to establish next steps with the existing bylaws and then define the roles and responsibilities of the committee and the crew chief as a good starting point, so we have the correct set of expectations as well as you and the committee. I don't care whether you're an agency or call whatever you are. I just think as the governing body, since we're investing taxpayers' dollars, we also want to provide a good service to the community, just as you indicated. We just need to establish a process and how we should work together and what's the expectation. Once that's done, we don't have confusion over what's happening. We don't have multiple unnecessary meetings to discuss stuff, because we haven't really gotten to the point where we should be at. So that's my take, so.
I do want to note, I know Trent had, and I believe he provided a copy of the 2024 annual report for our EMRs. In 2024, there was a 50% call response for EMS, and I know we talked about adding new members, and we are now over our 21%. But I do want to note that in 2025, thus far, we do have a 75% response rate. So that has greatly, that's 25% over last year. Also, at this point in 2024, we were at 58%. So it is over even where we were in 2024 at this point. And I do want to say that that is due to bringing on some EMRs who do cover areas where we previously had a hard time covering.
And the reason that we engaged this whole process, going back to that point in time, is that, I'm going to escape who it was, maybe it was Kurt at the time, no, it was Ashley. In 23, there was a 23% response rate on calls. And so that was at one of our meetings where we had a discussion quarterly on the status of the EMRs, that we started to get more involved in this, and we put someone from the board on the committee. And Daniil, I'm sorry.
Derek.
Derek, thank you. So, yeah, I absolutely acknowledge the fact, and that's great that you guys are responding to more calls. But also understand where we started from and what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I just want to note that you said that you've had issues since our current crew chief took over and her changes, but it has also allowed us, we are still making responses. We are still supporting our community. Not that we're trying to go against the town board, but
No.
we want to support our community, and we, want to do that the best way we can. And, at the end of the day, if this gets to the point where it's a town board versus the EMR department, I would hate to see our EMRs walk.
That's
And I'm
never
just
been
saying
the-
that the way
There's never
that-
been the intention of that. It's never been expressed. We've committed more than enough to that. That shouldn't even be a topic of discussion. If anything,
Unfortunately, it is.
if anything, I would turn around and I'd say to the Sturgeon Bay Fire Department, perhaps the EMR should be under them because they're proper, perhaps they're better suited to do that. Perhaps they're better suited to manage the EMRs than the town is. I haven't asked them to do that. All right?
I don't have
That doesn't mean that we would have any less expense involved because we'd have to pay to have that happen. I'm just saying, so we just need to set expectations and
I
process.
think that those expectations need to be set both ways, though.
Yeah.
I think, if the town board sets an expectation, that should also be followed.
Well, I agree,
Okay.
so, yes.
Mayor, can I ask a question? Many of your committees have multiple members, community members as well as sometimes several supervisors. Is this committee different that it has only one supervisor and only the crew chief? Is that
No,
defined in
there
the
can be a
bylaws?
second supervisor added to the
It's in the,
committee.
resolution
Right.
states that.
Could be two supervisors and a crew chief.
Supervisors.
And since this document came out, now we have an assistant crew chief and two supervisors, although we only have one assigned at this particular time.
It has to be a supervisor, unlike the other committees that have residents or,
Well, the intent,
voting members of the committee, but residents.
the intent originally, and it's, was to have a committee consisting of EMRs and a chairperson and a crew chief. Through no fault, it didn't end up that way. So we have what we have today, which is fine. It's not a problem once we align the roles and responsibilities and expectations, then it can work. So,
It just seems like a hugely complex process with a lot of unanswered questions and a critical aspect. I mean, I live here. I
Right.
can't imagine not having an EMR, and I want to see that this gets worked out appropriately, justly, whatever, between both entities.
Well, I think the town board supervisor that is part of this committee, or the chair of the committee, is more of a liaison between, kind of a go-between, and to not actually be running it, if I'm correct. I mean, it's kind of, he's there, she, he, whoever is, and at that time, the chairman of that committee.
right,
Is more just to be there, to bring our info to them, and then he brings it back to us.
But it is a standing committee of this board,
Yes,
like the Plan Commission or like Park and
yes,
Rec.
yes.
Okay. So that chair has responsibilities on this committee
Yeah.
as well.
yes.
Yeah.
But different because EMRs are state regulated,
Yeah.
they're licensed. There's a touch difference there.
Yeah, and that's why, I believe that's why we don't have a 5, 6, 7-person committee doing that, because for a lot of these aspects, our hands are tied, right? I mean, you kind of got to go with what they got.
Well, yeah, you're correct. So, is there any other conversation that you want to have with respect to this? Are we agreed that we're going to build off of the existing bylaws that were approved by the town board, and we will set up some kind of process document that says, here are our expectations, back and forth.
Yeah, if you guys have expectations of what you have to see in the bylaws, you can get those to Trent. We will work with Trent to work on the formatting of the bylaws under the bylaws that were approved on May 20th of 2024 and make sure that the formatting of it is off of those bylaws. I do want to note, though, that the recommendation is not to have bylaws, but is to have SOGs. And that is the recommendation from the state representative. So I just want to make that clear. It is not to have bylaws, it is to have SOGs.
Well, you may end up incorporating the two of them into one document, I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Right now, and maybe the best take is we walk before we run. Maybe the best bet is we get a set of bylaws and directions that we agree to, and then build off of that down the road. And I'm certainly open to either Aaron or Kalen. If either of you have any thoughts with respect to that, please feel free to share them. I'll give you a microphone.
Yeah, I mean, we meet with Trent, and Trent is very receptive. Trent is great. He responds to our emails timely. We have open communication with Trent. That's been great. But I know that the previous representative, that was not the case, seeing as we sent him multiple resolutions that never made it to the board. But I will say that Trent has been a breath of fresh air for the EMRs.
Aaron or Kalen, any? If you have none, that's fine. I just wanted to give you an opportunity.
I don't need to say anything.
Okay. Just wanted to give you an opportunity unless you had some input. All right. So, go ahead.
My only concern is, okay, so we have this nice draft dated March 13th, 2025, and now you're indicating that we're gonna take the May 20th, 24, and we're gonna change that, because the format, the two formats are totally different. I actually like the newer format better.
Me too.
But if we want to see the changes from the current bylaws, you're going to have to go back to the 2024.
That's my understanding as well.
Okay.
It's the only set of bylaws that we have that are approved to work off of.
I'm just saying there'll be a lot of red because.
Right.
That's fine.
Okay.
But that's the point of this.
All right. So, I think from a town perspective, we're good to go on the bylaw, at least from the base. We'll sit down, we'll spend some time with Trent, and we can do it a couple different ways. If we need to, we can have a meeting to discuss that, or we can also gather up your input from everything that you've read, consolidate that into a document, and give that to Trent as a starting point, and work off of that. But open to any ideas.
Using the 2024.
Using the
set.
2024 approved set.
Okay.
I just have one other thing, and I know at the last board meeting that we did have with Trent, we did talk about radios and pagers and
Yes.
needing to purchase one.
As a supply, yes.
So that should be in the minutes, I believe, from that meeting, because that was discussed. So that was not just purchased without talking to our town board representative. We did
But keep
talk to
in
Trent
mind
about it.
that the clerk treasurer is in charge. She's the gal, she has no idea.
Yeah,
So there's breakage there, and that's when I talk about expectations, that we have to communicate that back, we have to know what's happening. We're not adverse to buying pagers, no one's ever asked, in all the time I've been on this board, no one's ever come and said, we need a pager or a radio, and we said no.
right. It normally goes through our budget, and this says that we discuss those things with Trent, which is
And
the committee. So that is what we did. We followed those procedures. So if we need to discuss that with somebody else, that should be outlined for us, because we didn't know that talking to Trent was not
Well,
enough.
that's exactly why I said we need to set up a process, understanding expectations. What's his role? What's your role? So that we can work together and we understand what you need and you understand what we need. So,
Well, and we
please.
also have a form, like if I want to be reimbursed for something, or if I feel that the town should pay for something, I have to fill out a form and, substantiate my request, so.
I think it really just comes down to understanding each other's roles and expectations and what you do. And if we define those things, then everybody knows what they have to do. I mean, simple thing, Amy got the payroll request today. I mean, tonight's the board meeting, tonight's the night we sign the checks. It's not acceptable to ask her to turn around and process all of that for tonight's meeting. I don't know when it came out, I don't care. I'm just saying, here's an expectation. She needs to get that information sooner. Again, if we have to put it in writing, we'll do that. That sets an expectation. So, anything else relative to this? If not, I'm willing to move on to other things. Okay. If I can find my agenda, I'll try that. Okay.
Set time and date for.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Time and date for the road tour. I have a suggested date, and hopefully it works for you guys. May 16th. That's a Friday, if my calendar's correct.
It is a Friday.
And we did get back from Delmore Consulting. They gave us,
Updated Pacer, yes.
yep, and it's an interesting review.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
think
see
you've
it.
all seen it, and
I didn't
there's
get
a
to read it yet.
number of roads that have, declined. We're gonna have a tougher road to hoe. Any rate, does the 16th work for everybody?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so we'll start at 8 o'clock.
Sounds good.
All right. Next one would be, and this one, there's always some flex with, given the timing, but in theory, we'd like to try to schedule the budget work session for October 14th. And it has to give Amy time to compile all of her stuff, and yet still give us enough time to get it ahead of the board meeting. That's a Tuesday. We typically start at, what, 5:30,
5 or 5:30.
I think?
October, what day, 14th?
I'm sorry, what day did you say?
October 14th, is a Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday, day after Columbus Day.
At what time?
5:30?
5:30 is fine, if that works.
Budget work session?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, no issues?
Tuesday, October 14th. Okay.
And May 16th for the road tour. All right. I have no idea where I am in my own book. Okay, we have the financial reports for the month. We have the budget versus actual. You have account balances, and you have the transactions by date. And everybody should have also already seen or signed the vouchers, but we'll do that in a bit. Amy, you have some things you want to touch base on?
I do. The town has made our annual contribution to the York County Humane Society during their matching campaign. So we did $2,000, which will come out to $4,000 for the Humane Society. The town has also paid their second quarter fire protection dues to the city of Sturgeon Bay. And right now, we currently are $80,000 of our $110,000 budget for snow removal.
Say that again.
We're in the hole or close to it. Get a shovel.
We have $80,000 already spent of $110,000 for snow removal this year.
For this year.
Yep.
The good news, or hopefully, we don't get any more snow this year, and next fall is very light. All right, thanks, Amy.
Yep.
Motion to approve financial reports, put them on file, please. Go ahead.
I just got one, I brought up to Amy earlier, I just want to bring this up. In the budget versus actual, number, let's see what I got here, 5520005, it's with the town park lighting.
Give us, oh,
It's on page 3 of the budget versus actual, 86 in
okay.
your.
Town park lighting, yep.
Yeah, just, well, obviously, so it says 36% already, and it's, the 21st of April. Jeannie, it sounds like it's bedtime.
It is.
So,
Can I go to bed now?
I take a little nap.
Oh, shit.
So I know we got 36%. I mean, we haven't had any games or haven't done anything yet there, but we've had the concession stand. I mean, excuse me, the bathrooms being built, so I'm sure that's where the power has gone. Is there a way we can make that into, I don't know, say, the electrical usage
What
expense?
should be utilities?
Utilities expense, something
Right.
where, because if people look at that, we get screamed at if the lights are on 5 minutes after a baseball game. So the parking lot lights stay on sometimes for an hour because there's cars there, and I get yelled at about that. So they look at right now and they see that it's 36%, and I've only had 2 games that had the lights on. I don't know if there's a way we can, and Amy and I talked about it, that it's, there's different ways, because there's two meters over there.
It gets separated to the Christmas tree lights, and then everything that comes out of the concession stand. But both of those numbers are attributed into that town park lighting. So I believe even if we would separate them out a little bit, knowing that this year is going to be different because we have the construction over there.
Right.
Of course, that amount's going to, reflect that. Any other time beyond, having the lights on for an extended amount of time, I don't believe that we've gone over or, so.
Yeah, I just, just if we can get rid of the lighting expense name, you know what I mean? Just
call it utilities or something.
Utility or something that we can.
Town park utilities, would you rather have it that?
Yeah, I think just,
Okay.
like I say, because I get barked at every time the lights are on there. Why do you need the lights on there? Why do you need the lights on games? Yeah, not for that.
What's the problem?
So, anyway, so,
You could tell Mom that she didn't get authorized to chat.
Mr. Parliamentarian, is she out of line? Can you remove her, please? So,
I think she should be assessed a fine.
I would say, yeah, maybe matching funds of 117.5. So anyway, I just, you know what I mean, I get a lot of flack from stuff over there, and that's one of them. If, people can come and look at this and see that it's 36%, we've had 2 games. So if we could just change it to,
Absolutely, as long
And I
as.
mean,
I know it's a nitpicky thing, but,
And as Amy said, I mean, the other thing is, with the restroom going on over there, they had heaters running in there.
oh, I
they
understand
had-
100% why. I mean, that's not my
I
question.
mean, anybody that is willing to,
That should be
you know,
utilities.
that should be no-brainer, but
I will,
that's fine.
I will say, one of my favorite sayings, common sense is not common anymore. And we were also told there was no common sense in politics many years ago, that you're not supposed to use common sense, so we can't say common sense tells us this, because there is none anymore. In my personal opinion.
All right,
Thank you.
motion to
I'll
approve financial
approve.
reports.
I'll make a motion.
He's gonna make that
I'll
motion.
second.
Second by Linda. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Approved. Approval of vouchers, bills, and claims. I think everybody signed that.
Yes.
All right, then a motion to approve.
That motion to approve?
Motion by Trent, second
Second.
by Mark, to approve the voucher, bills, and claims, March 18th through April 21st. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. All right. Oral committee, commission reports and minutes. We have the Plan Commission meeting in here from Tuesday, January 27th. We have the Ordinance Committee meeting from Tuesday, March 11th. And the EMR committee meetings from Monday, February 24th. I'm losing the ability to read. So we want to put those on file. And does anyone, before we do that, have any oral committee minutes that they want?
I'll save my comments till next month.
Thank you, Linda. We appreciate that. All right. Motion to put the.
For the, sorry, just for the ordinance committee, we'd like to give the board an update next month if we could.
Okay,
Yep.
that's great. All right, let's have a motion to approve the
Put on
commission
file.
reports and minutes.
So moved to accept the minutes and place on file.
Motion by
Second.
Linda, second by Jeannie. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Moved on. County board report. I don't know what I did with that.
It's right here.
Oh, it's in there.
I don't have it in my, For some reason, it's not in my
You-
thing. So
you want me to
Hugh,
read it
you
to
want
you?
to take it away?
I can just read it to you if
I
you
had a
want.
question, but it can wait till next month. too.
Okay, we will let the county board report, review to next month for any questions. How's that?
They have another meeting next week.
All right, so license and permits. We have, oh yeah, we have the permit report that Amy pulls for us on residences that are being built. And we have inspection specialists, their building permit fees in there as well. And, ooh, we have the Institute and Valmy Athletic Club Season 2025 Class
Class
B beer license.
And I'll make one comment on that. We had a two retirees from the Institute and Valmy Athletic Club, Steve Whipperfirth and Jason Annis, both stepped away, and Joe and Leah Hoffman are now in charge of the, I guess you'd say, the finances and such.
Joe and who?
Joe and Leah Hoffman,
That's not the Hoffman.
Red Room.
Oh, okay.
Husband and wife, Joe and Leah.
Thank you.
Nice.
So we got were you in that email?
Yes, I was.
Okay, yeah, not Crepto, yes, Jason.
Jason
Annis
Annis.
sent us an email telling us that they're stepping down, and Joe and Lee, so I've been in contact with Leah, and it'll be seamless, they've been there forever. Joe used to play for the Cubs, so shouldn't have any issues there at all.
Cool. All right. Amy, you issued the permit?
I will issue the permit once you approve it, yes.
All right. You want us to approve it then?
I think they would love if
All
you
right.
approved it.
How about a motion to approve the Institute and Valmy Athletic Clubs?
I'll so move.
Mark has made a motion to approve, second by Trent. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, passed. Thank you. All right, correspondence, we have the local road improvement, the LRIP. See that cash has come in. And, oh, I forgot, we should have put this at the very beginning. We have the Municipal Treasurers Appreciation Week. Now, this is not the clerk, this is strictly the treasurer. So we want to give her a round of applause, how much we appreciate her. Thank you, Amy. All right, and when is the clerk's? Is that coming up yet?
That's coming up in May.
That's coming up in
Just so
May.
everyone knows.
Okay, so should we do something different for May, like have a cake?
We
Standing
could.
Ooh,
We could.
what a lovely.
All right,
I like pie better than cake, FYI.
we'll put a cake down, or cupcakes, maybe something from there. We also have payment for general transportation aids, $57,000. This one we threw in the packet, and frankly, it's a little confusing. These are all of the letters that were sent out by Land Use Services, some of which there are legitimate, I should say legitimate, they're illegitimately placed camping units, some of which I know have been moved because I was involved in them. We tried to put down where they were, but this is a warning to them to remove them or remove them as needed. So you have them all. In the event you got a phone call or something, you know where to go.
I'm glad to see one specific parcel on there.
Yeah, she wrote in an address if we only had a parcel number, so we could take care of that. Then you have the Sturgeon Bay Fire Department, their recap, and a letter that was requested by the city of Sturgeon Bay regarding comprehensive stormwater management. And I'd have brought this back, but they had to have the letter in prior to the meeting. I didn't think anybody would be opposed to supporting clean water. So we signed it, sent it off. Door County Connect, you're all familiar with that in terms of where they were and because they came to the town meeting. And the last item in correspondence is the Door County Pickleball Club has donated another aluminum bench for the courts. That's $1,000 plus shipping. And that'll come in mid-May, so that'll give us 2 benches over there for people to use. And the windscreens were put up last Saturday by some volunteers, and a couple of our employees helped, which is great because we didn't have enough help.
Way better than last year, looks way better, it wasn't as windy.
Yeah, so we're in good shape there. And announcements, our next meeting is Monday, May 19th And open book is Friday, June 20th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. here at the town hall. And I think that's everything on this month's agenda.
Agenda for next meeting?
Agenda
Or
for
items for
next
next
meeting
agenda? Could we think about, we are hosting the Door County Unit meeting on August 21st. So we need a topic, if you have something that would be of interest to all of the towns in Door County.
Does it always seem like
Yeah.
we host them in August? Does that just kind of work out that way? It always seems to me that it's in August. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we go alphabetical.
It also
So
ends up in the same kind of time frame.
our next unit meeting is May 8th at the town of Nassau. And we're gonna try to do a yard sale, either June 21st or June 28th, I think. Yes, one of those Saturdays.
We got the baseball tournament, Mighty Pioneers tournament,
When,
28th?
I believe the 28th, I believe. I'll have to check with Mike.
so the 21st, we'd have to make sure the pavilion's not rented with graduation parties and everything.
Offhand, I don't believe it is for that weekend.
Now,
We'll look.
Would that date be okay with you, Mark?
I'll ask Mike
June
when they're doing it.
Okay.
now, Amy and Linda have both asked me about trying to do some
Oh, like ice cream social or
ice cream
something.
social, kind of come in, see the park, visit and or use the new restroom.
Right.
If we turn the water on, you're welcome to use it. If not, don't. So that would be, in theory, the
I guess we're gonna shoot
21st.
for the 21st. We'll wait, June.
And I don't know how we would promote it, but maybe, I think Linda was saying that, you know, we could hook up with Culver's or something and get a few things of ice cream, scoops.
Only
and-
chocolate with like nuts and corn?
Yeah, something of that.
Why?
They do have,
No?
we did that one with Door County Master Gardeners. They had.
Dixie cup kind of thing?
They're kind, yeah,
Yeah,
kind
they're
of like that.
little
Yeah.
Yeah, so
pull
maybe,
behind trailer or
you
whatever.
know, maybe do something and promote it a little bit, and
I'm not opposed to scooping ice cream.
while you're selling merchandise.
It's soft serve.
You'd be standing there in front of your old pair of shoes with an ice cream scooper, trying to sell your shoes and scoop ice cream. Okay. So keep that in mind. If the 21st, we might try to pull that off as well. And then we will bring back the parent project, so maybe go investigate that again if you're not totally familiar with it. And Linda, maybe with parent, we could touch base together with Amy Sullivan, see if she's got an idea or two on it, maybe.
I have an idea or two on it.
Do you?
so,
Okay.
yeah, that
Well, I'm
we would
open to-
not be subject to that statute, so.
Whatever.
Should we go to a real estate lawyer rather than a town lawyer? I mean, do we have,
Well, she has some
Let's
ideas.
just talk
Let's-
about.
I mean, if we go to a lawyer, we go to one that works with that.
Well, let's see what her
Let's
ideas
see what-
are,
yeah,
and kind
let's see what
of
Linda has
take the least
So I said
expensive route.
if we
that's
go
the-
to a lawyer,
up her sleeve.
Problem with that is you have to establish a relationship with them, and by the time you do that, you spent a ton of money.
Well, I'm sure the Pinkard firm can handle real estate.
Yeah, they do.
But they,
yeah.
yes, they
Well,
have.
she is Amy was a real estate, I think that was her main thing, real
Yeah,
estate.
I don't know.
I'm not positive, but it seems like it was, but we'll find out.
That was
Anyway.
always Jim's specialty.
Okay, with that, the last thing is a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by
Second.
Trent, second by Mark, to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, thank you.